Hey guys, this is Mint and welcome to my 7th recording of Town of Salem. So today is actually winter solstice, and just like my summer solstice video, I will be making a special video for today. First of all, I'd like to thank all my subscribers. I've just hit 1,000 subscribers recently, so that 1K number is pretty significant for a growing YouTuber like me, so thank you all. And I will be giving a giveaway soon, possibly, so keep an eye out for that. So today I'll be posting my second tutorial, which is a Mafia guide. So I hope you guys do enjoy, since I know many people have that negative stigma around the Mafia. They just don't want to play, they want to leave, they don't want to be the bad guys. So I hope this tutorial really puts out some strategies that you can play and highlights some of the fun things you can do as Mafia. So let's get started. First of all, let's look at the overview. What to do as Mafia. So when you're Mafia, you should figure out everyone claimed night 1. There's a reason the Mafia chat exists. Mafia is the only alignment, not the only alignment, but is an alignment that can talk with their fellow teammates at night, just like Coven and Vampire. And using that chat is very essential in my opinion. So using the chat, we can figure out everyone's claims and what they should do. So for example, we should coordinate claims. Like Godfather could possibly be like, oh, I'm going to claim Vigilant, and the Consigliere could just be, oh, I want to claim Doctor. And everyone figure out their claims and what they're going to do. And work together as a team. As I'm going to cover later in the video, you can do claims that requires coordination. Like for example, a transported claim and asking your fellow Mafia to claim transported. That's a coordinated claim. So you need multiple members of Mafia to claim. So you need to work together as a team to to force mislynches and really have good claims for everyone and control the town. As I noticed my last video has gotten a lot of likes and subscribers and views. So my last video is basically about how when a Mafia controls the town, it's really easy to win. Just Mafia, you can either use methods like busing or some other ways to make town believe you and then run the town. Instead of letting town run you over, you run the town, you lead the lynches. And never give up. No matter how desperate you are, there's always a way to win. Like my Town Trader Godfather video, all of my Mafia died before even one town died. So all of my teammates in Town Trader, they all died, and I was the only one left to verse 10-ish town. But I didn't give up and I won in the end. So never give up. And another thing that I want to cover just in the overview is don't necessarily claim inside your investigative results. So a lot of people just always want to claim in their investigative results. So for example, the results are like Doc Disguiser Forger, Doc Disguiser Serial Killer, Lookout Forger Witch, Vigilant Veteran Mafiesso. So if you're Mafioso, you always go for the Vig or Vet claim. When you're Godfather, you go for the Bodyguard claim. So I think you don't necessarily have to do that. I'll cover that later in the video as well, but just keep that in mind while you're watching. So we'll be looking into the discussions of specific and individual roles first. I'll be going them over one by one and then looking at them as a whole. So first of all, the Mafia team can be divided into categories. So there's Mafia Killing, Mafia Deception, and Mafia Support. So in Mafia Killing, there's the Godfather, Mafioso, and Ambusher. And like I said, I'll cover each of the single roles, but it's always good to keep in mind what are the killing roles, what are the deception roles, and what are the support roles. So deception, which is be Disguiser, Forger, Framer, Hypno, and Janitor, and support, which is be Blackmailer, Consigliere, and Consort. So now we'll be looking at Mafia Killing, the first one that we're going to be looking at. So the reason I put this first is because Mafia Killing are always the most common in every single ranked game. There's at least 2 Mafia Killing roles, the Godfather and Mafioso in each single ranked game. So we know that in every ranked game, at least half of the Mafia are Mafia Killing. So it's very important that we go over them first. So first we have the Godfather, the leader of organized crime, the great leader of the Mafia. So their abilities is you may choose a person to attack each night. And if there's a Mafioso, the Mafioso will attack the target instead of the Godfather. This is very important because to lookouts, and if you have the Coven expansion trackers, it's the Mafioso that's doing a visit, not the Godfather. And the Death Note of the Mafioso will be displayed, not the Godfather. So be careful of that. So if Lookout catches you, they catches the Mafioso, not the Godfather. Except if the Mafioso is roadblocked, then you do the killing. You will also appear innocent to the sheriff, and you can talk to the other Mafia at night. So basically, some of the mechanics of the Godfather is that, like I said just now, if you're roadblocked, the Mafioso will attack their own target. So if you guys select different targets, but you're roadblocked, then the Mafioso's target go through. And the Mafioso will be visible to only to the lookout and be killed by the bodyguard or any roles that do rampage, like werewolf, veteran, or even Medusa with the Coven expansion. So these roles will kill the Mafioso, not you, unless the Mafioso is roadblocked. And if the Mafioso is controlled by the witch, it doesn't matter. Your target will still be attacked. However, if you're attacked by the witch, if you're controlled by the witch, then the Mafioso will attack the target that the witch chooses. So, as Godfather, what should you do? You are the leader of the Mafia. Lead your team to victory. You should lead your team, lead Mafia, and ask for information from your fellow Mafia in deciding your next deal. So if you have a Blackmailer or a visiting Consigliere, you can ask them for information and roles they gather to determine who you kill. If the Blackmailer knows a lookout that's only been whispering jailer, it might be good to take the lookout out. And possible claims could be vigilant, veteran. The reason why I like claiming TK as Godfather is that you have the basic defense. In all of Mafia, you're the only one with defense, a basic defense, which means you won't be killed by a vigilant that tries to shoot you. In ranked games, normally when there's multiple TK claims, town asks them to shoot each other. And if another Mafia claims TK, then they can easily be shot by the real vigilant. However, if you claimed vigilant or veteran, and they try to shoot you, you won't die. And you can call them immune as well, so make it 1-for-1 and have to lynch. This can cause for a lot of mislynches, and they can't really kill you. And like I said, you don't really have to... Many people claim it as Mafiesso, but like I said earlier, you shouldn't really be claiming solely inside your investigative results, since there's so many opportunities for you outside of your results. And Investor of Spy, I'm going to say this for basically all of the Mafia. You can claim Invest, Sheriff, or Spy. Okay, you know the moth visits, you can claim those. Invest, you can claim it, you don't have to claim it way too late. Make sure you don't claim too late, but see if there's like a sheriff claim or something, especially since now there's no neutral killing in ranked. Basically, anyone that's not Mafia is what they claim, unless they're a jailer or mayor fake claiming. So an Invest, Sheriff, or Spy is generally a safe claim for any Mafia role, and Retributionist. So a lot of times if there's a Retributionist counterclaim, there's two Retributionists and there's something like a dead Vigilant, town, it's the same mechanics as claiming Vigilant. Town would ask the Retributionist to revive the Vigilant and shoot the counterclaim. And in this case, you won't die. And if you're really desperate and you have no claim, you can do a Desperate Executioner claim. Since you have a defense, Executioner have defense, and you can claim to have gotten your target lynched, so town will likely want to leave you alive to vote with town. The next up is Mafioso. So like I covered in the Godfather part, Mafioso is a member of the organized crime who takes their orders from the Godfather. And basically, the Mafioso attacks if the Godfather don't select a target, and if the Godfather dies, the Mafioso becomes the Godfather. So each night, you basically pick a person to kill, but if there's a Godfather, their decision will override yours. And regardless whether there's a Godfather or not, you will do the actual killing. And like I said earlier, if you're roadblocked, it doesn't matter if the Godfather visits. Something to keep in mind is the Godfather Mafioso should always select, both of them should always select targets. It's preferable if both of you select the same target and the Mafia's on the same page. But even if it's not, both of you should select targets, since if one is roadblocked, the other would need to do the killing. Since if you don't select the target and the Godfather is roadblocked, no one dies, and that's terrible for the Mafia. The reason that both Godfather and Mafioso are present in rank is to make sure that without any of them dying, that unless both of you are roadblocked or jailed, you should always get a kill out per night. So as Mafioso, you should, just like the Godfather, communicate with the Mafia. And some other things you should do is inform the Mafia about any notification that you receive. If the target was immune, like if you see an immune target, the Godfather don't see that message, only you do. So you should communicate that with the Godfather and the rest of the Mafia. And if the Godfather is roadblocked or jailed, you should take initiative and attack. Possible claims, Mafioso is one of those roles that I think are pretty hard to claim, so I would usually go for the Invest, Sheriff, Spy claim, since I said those are pretty much available to all the Mafia. And if you want to go for risky claims such as Escort or Transporter, that's totally fine. Like I said, you should coordinate with your fellow Moffs, like have one of your fellow Mafia claim transported, have one of your fellow Mafia claim roadblocked, and steal that escort transporter claim. And you'll see more of this later in the video, where when I cover other roles like the Hypnotist, or during my conclusion later. And the third killing role was Ambusher. This role is different from the other killing roles since you don't really do the killing. You're like a Crusader if you have the Covenant expansion. You visit someone, and out of everyone that visits the same target as you kill one of them. If there's only one person, you kill them. If there's two, you only kill one of them. However, a drawback to this would be that everyone who visits the same person you do sees your name. So you kill one of them, but everyone sees your name. So if there's only one person, they see your name, but is killed. But if there's two people, you kill one of them, and the other, as well as the dead person, sees your name. So you could be easily countered by a medium or multiple people visiting. So also your visit is a passive visit, so you will not be attacked by bodyguards or trappers. And you will also receive a notification if you attack someone visiting your target. So what should you do? You should identify people that will likely have visitors, but best if they only have one. So don't go on those jailer claims. If someone goes TP Alulami Night 1, don't go on them. There's going to be like 3 or 4 people on them. You visit them, okay, you attack one, but then everyone sees you and you're lynched. So you're trading one Mafia for one town, which isn't a good trade. You can go on someone else. So something that I like to do is I would visit the same person that the Godfather selects in the first few nights, like maybe night 1, night 2, or perhaps night 3. This guarantees that the Mafia gets 1 kill per night, since if the Godfather's kill don't go through, it's somewhat likely that there's going to be a doctor on the person and they heal them. So by you going on them, then either they die or the doctor that heals them dies. So for example, if you want to go for a spy that claimed day 2 by killing them night 2, the ambusher would be good if the ambusher goes on the spy as well, since it sweeps any lookouts that might have been on the spy. So those are some things you can do, and possible claims could be lookout. You can definitely claim lookout, since if you go on someone and you don't attack anyone, you know they're visited by no one. So you know that for a fact. So a lookout claim is easy to fake and hard to disprove. You can also claim town protectives, and you can also claim investigative spy, like all the other Mafia. Now that we covered that, we can look at Mafia deception. So Mafia deception includes the disguiser, which is the first one. So a disguiser, as the summary would say, is a master makeup artist who can disguise other people. So this is actually, I'm going to spend a little more time on this, since it's, with the rework, this is a pretty complicated role. So let me just read the attributes right now. Your disguised Mafia will appear to the other person to a lookout. And so yeah, so what it means is, basically when you just listen to that, you're probably going to be confused, to be like, what? So I'm going to use my example from earlier. So for example, if you went and attacked a spy, and the lookout was on that said spy. Now, you can disguise your Mafiesso, because remember what we talked about, the Mafiesso is the only one that's visiting, not the Godfather. So if you disguise the Mafioso as, say, a random medium, then to the lookout, it's the medium that killed the dead spy, and not your Mafioso. Your visit will not show, your Mafioso's visit will not show to the lookout. And the medium's visit will show to the lookout, so the lookout will think the medium killed, and therefore can get the medium lynched. Or the lookout, if they think the lookout is the executioner. So, pretty powerful. And when you're disguised as a town member, your Mafia visit is disregarded by the spy. So what it means is that, so when you disguise your consort as some random person, their roadblock won't be seen by the spy. So if consort decides to roadblock the jailer, and you disguise the consort as some random person, the spy won't see the consort's Moff visit. So they just won't see that visit. So therefore, they will think the consort is escort. So that's pretty powerful. So I think currently in ranked, I'm not seeing a lot of people play Disguiser to its full potential. So that's why I'm spending a lot of more time on this. Because I'm saying there's like a whole lot of things you can do with Disguiser. And the third and most obvious point, the disguised Mafia member will appear to be the same role as the non-Mafia member to the investigator and sheriff. So if you disguise the disguised Mafia as a lookout, then any sheriff will see them as innocent, and then the investigator will see them as lookout, forager, or witch. So disguiser, what should you do? You should disguise Mafiesso if they're attacking someone that might have lookouts on them. Very important, it saves your Mafioso and puts a 1-for-1 between 2 towns. However, smart town might figure this out. You can also disguise Consort or Consiglieres that wish to claim escort or investigator. By disguising them, you hide their moth visit. The spy will still see two moth visit, your Consort / Consigliere, and the person you disguise them as. If there's a smart spy, he might find out that, hey, look, your Consort has been visited every single night. Could they have been disguised? But however, I think it can get their escort or investigator claim to be much more trustworthy. Possible claims would be town protectives. You can disguise yourself as a town protective, or even just disguise the jailer, so they can maybe see you visit the jailer or something. And a claim as spy, since you know which moth visit you hide and which you show. But you be careful of claiming spy, because you might have chances of messing up. And another thing you can claim would be lookout. You can disguise yourself, you can show people, you can ask for roles, you can claim lookout. It's a fairly risky claim for disguiser, as I would mostly stick with town protectives, but as we covered earlier, there's always the sheriff invest spy claim that every single mafia could have. So the next role we have is forger. So the forger rewrites someone's last will. If your target dies, the last will is replaced by a forgery that you create, and their role will be shown as the role you select to forge. And basically, you choose the target to forge each night, replacing their last will and roll with your own. So you have 2 forgeries, and your forgery and last will are 2 separate notes. For those of you who think maybe, your last will is shown, that's not correct. And just for maybe, I don't know, some purposes that might include transporter or witch, if both the janitor and the forger chooses a target, it's a janitor's clean that will go through, not your forge. Okay. And a spy lookouts can see your visits as well. So basically, what should you do? You should prepare a pre-made forgery in your notes or last will. This way you can copy paste it really fast and boom, you're done. Instead of getting stuck with the sticky situation that halfway done, you realize the night's over, but you haven't finished completing the forged will. And that could be really bad. And possible claims could be transporter, escort, or medium. So I'm gonna go over the possible claims before going back to my second point about talking to your fellow mafia. And I have another point, but I'm gonna just talk about the claims first. You can claim transporter. How? First, you can forge your targets to say they were trans on a certain night. And maybe you don't even have to touch their role. For example, they claim spy, just keep them as spy. Write their will exactly the same way as they would have, except put trans at the end. So town would think they were trans, and therefore you can now claim transporter and ask maybe if some of your fellow mobs to claim trans as well. So therefore to get your transporter claim going. As well as escort, you can forge them saying roadblocked, and medium as well. Since as a medium, you can basically forge them. You can claim medium and maybe paste some dead chats and go, hey, they were forged. And since you provided town that information, town would be likely to believe you. However, this would alert town to the presence of a forger. However, if there is a spy, they might already know the forgery exists. And medium, there's actually a trick to claim medium that I will maybe cover later. Now that we've covered the forging, let's move on to the next one, the framer. So the summary says that the framer is a skilled counterfeiter who manipulates information. So what the framer does is basically they choose someone to frame each night, and if their target is investigated by a sheriff or an invest, they will appear to be suspicious, and to the invest it will just be framer, vampire, jester. And they will shown to be suspicious until they are investigated by such role. So for example, if you frame someone night 1 and no one visits them, no town investigatives check them, and say night 4 a sheriff checks them, they will still be suspicious. An invest checks them, they'll still be suspicious. So yeah. And if there are no kill-capable mafia roles left, you will become a mafioso. So what that means is basically the same as all the other mafia, you promote to mafioso. But I would really like to talk about the framer. Most people think of framer as their least favorite mafia role, or whatever. Personally, I actually quite like framer. I think it's not as bad as what people think of it to be. So basically, framed target will show up as suspicious to the sheriff and will appear to be framer, vampire, jester to invest. I think now that after the buff, the frames last forever. That's pretty powerful, especially when you have a person that you have in mind to mislynch the next day, or just say maybe in a game where there's multiple sheriff, like there's maybe 3 or 4 sheriffs, you can just frame one of them and let the other sheriffs find them as suspicious, and therefore make it so that they get them to be lynched. And also, it's the existence of a framer that can have a lot of debatable areas for Mafia. Say there isn't a spy, and a member of your Mafia was caught to be suspicious. You can always claim that a framer has framed them. So some of the things that you should do is wait to see if there are any spies before going out and framing a lot of people. So this is the same as a lot of the other roles that I said, like Consig or maybe Consort that I'll cover later. So you have to really know if there's spies before going out and framing, because if there's a spy and you frame someone different every night, the spy sees them off visit and mark the people that hasn't been visited as likely to be Mafia. So you're reducing your own claim space for Mafia. And maybe not so much Consort, but for roles like Consigliere and Framer, their abilities don't do as much as they could. So, especially Consigliere. So I think they should really wait to see if there's spies. If there's no spies, sure, go ahead and do whatever it is that you do. But if there is a spy, then by visiting a lot of different people, then you're technically reducing your claim space. Some possible claims for Framer would be Doctor and Bodyguard, much like the Consigliere. You can just go on the person that claims to want TPLO on them and go on them night 1 and for perhaps every single night. The reason of this is many people, although I'm talking about Framer, I might cover a little bit more about Consig here. Although that most people want to just straight up claim Invest as Consig as the most easy option, I usually never do that. I don't really like claiming Invest as Consig. I just go on, if the jailer claimed day 1, then I would go on the jailer. If not, I would go on anyone that asks for town protectives or lookouts and go on them so a lookout can see me visiting them. And then I'll claim town protective. So, or even if we have a Blackmailer, I can claim lookout and just have Blackmailer feed me the actual lookout's will. So that's all part of something you can do. And this way, even if there is a spy and they see that the Mafiesso goes on jailer, there's likely to have multiple people visit them. So you're basically putting yourself in like a 1 out of 3 or 4 people. So it's not really a 1 for 1, most likely. It's like a 1 for 3 or 4. So the town really wouldn't just normally go for one of them and just wait for more information, maybe. Maybe have like an investigator check them or something. But then you're the framer, so you can always make that work. And at the same time, there are a lot of things you can do. Like town wouldn't really lynch one, and even if they did, the chances of it actually being you is very low. And the chance of there being a spy isn't too high either. I heard it's like 1 in every 2 game, possibly, but even if there is a spy, that play would still work. And although the spy knows that one of the visits on the jailer is Mafia, they don't know who. And if there's more than 3 people, the lookout might just see 3 people that doesn't include you visit the jailer. And in that case, you don't even have to claim town protective at all. You just showed the spy that a moth visit was on the jailer. So town will likely start lynching one of the 3 people that visited the jailer seen on the lookout will, which is really good. And sheriff, just like a sheriff, basically, if you frame someone, riskier play would be just to call them as suspicious. And even if you get them lynched, if there's a spy, the spy can prove that that person was indeed framed, and maybe improve your credibility as a sheriff. You can also claim escort and spy. It's the same mechanics, just go on the person asking for TPLO. If they didn't claim jailer, I don't think you should claim escort, but you can claim escort if they claim jailer. Go on them, and if the jailer was actually roadblocked, you can claim to have roadblocked them, as well as spy. So Hypnotist. Hypnotist is an interesting role in my opinion. The summary is the skilled hypnotist who can alter the perception of others. So basically what the Hypnotist does is they hypnotize someone each night, giving them a false message and after the night. So basically the planted memory will confuse the player, and the spy who bugs the target will receive the message you planted. So basically there's a whole list of messages. I have them on a list here, so I'll just read them out. So basically there's one that's: you were transported to another location. Someone occupied your night. You were roadblocked. You were attacked, but someone fought off your attacker. You were attacked, but someone nursed you back to health, and you feel a mystical power dominating you. You were controlled by a witch. So essentially it shows the messages of them being transported, roadblocked, protected by a bodyguard, protected by a doctor, and witched. So this is actually quite important because this can open up a lot of claim space for Mafia. So what should you do? Communicate with your Mafia teammates about what message you made the hypnotized target see. So if you made the person see they were attacked and healed, Mafia should know that. If you made them think they're transported, the Mafia should know that. So basically what I said, the possible claims would be transporter, escort, doctor, or a doctor-bodyguard combo with a fellow Mafia. So what happens is, as I just read to you guys earlier, there is a message of you being attacked but protected by a bodyguard. However, when the town wakes up in the morning and sees that there was no bodyguard kill, nor bodyguard death, they will think that something is up. So what you can do is have a doctor-bodyguard combo. Have one of your Mafia claim bodyguard, and have the other Mafia claim doctor who's healed that said bodyguard, to explain why the bodyguard wasn't killed. So I guess that's something you can do. And there's always transporter, escort, or doctor. So you just claim them, you just hypnotize them and claim them. However, be careful, because if you're claiming transporter and you transported someone, I would think you should. This goes back to my first point of doing claims that the whole Mafia can rely on. So maybe have other members of your Mafia claim transported, and so you can say you transported 2 different people, and this way you'll be more believable. However, if there is a spy, they can see that one of the person was hypnotized, and therefore would suspect you of being a hypno. And same with escort. Although you show people that they were roadblocked, they aren't necessarily roadblocked. So even though they see the message they were roadblocked, their abilities will still perform. So this doesn't impact their actual ability. So what you can do, if a jailer claimed night 1, you can hypnotize the jailer the roadblocking message. And then you can claim escort, saying you roadblock the jailer night 1, and the jailer won't know otherwise because they can't do anything night 1. They have no ability. They can't really know that they weren't actually roadblocked. And since night 2, you won't actually want to roadblock the jailer. So then you can maybe switch to roadblocking roles like that claim medium, or claiming to have roadblocked fellow Mafia. So the next one would be Janitor. So the Janitor, the summary says it is a sanitation expert that's working for Mafia. And basically when your target dies, you get rid of their role and last will. And you can perform 3 cleanings. So some things that you should keep in mind is that the cleaning attempt will be successful regardless if your target dies to Mafia or whatever reason. Like if they are a vigilant that's about to commit suicide after shooting a town, you clean them, their role and will still won't be displayed. However, they will see that the vigilant committed suicide, therefore know it's a vigilant. But for more ambiguous cases, such as someone being haunted by the Jester, for example, if the Jester said you got the Jester lynched and you told the Jester to haunt 3, and then you clean 3, town will see 3 getting killed by a Jester, but they still won't see their role or will. This is really important because by doing that, you're clearing up claim space for Mafia. However, a role that can really counter you would be the medium. So what should you do? You should communicate to your fellow Mafias about the role of the clean target. This is very important. Every time a successful clean comes through, you should always tell your Mafia what that target was. If they were town protective, town investigative, Godfather, and Mafiesso would use that information to decide on their next kill target. and other roles could use that information to open up claims. When they're on the stand, they need a desperate claim. If you claim the veteran, then you know there isn't a veteran that can counterclaim them, so they can safely claim veteran. And some possible claims would just be medium. You can claim medium and basically tell town about what the dead target was and pasting dead chat, which I know I've talked about medium pasting dead chat. I'll talk about that later. But I know I said you shouldn't really necessarily claim inside your investigative results, but I think Janitor is one of those roles that I think would benefit from claiming inside of their investigative results. It's one of the only roles, besides potentially Consort, that I find would be beneficial to claim inside their investigative results. So yeah, you can claim medium or whatever the clean target is. There's not really an obvious choice, but it could be whatever the clean target is, and there's always a sheriff invest spy claim that, is available for every single Mafia. So now let's move on to Mafia support. First Mafia support role would be the Blackmailer. So the Blackmailer has basically a night ability and a passive ability. The night ability is choosing one person at night to blackmail. So the blackmail person can't talk and can't, even if they got put on the stand, they can't say anything. So when the blackmailed person tries to speak, they will receive a message from the game saying, "You are blackmailed." No one will be able to see what they sent and their attempt of speaking. And if the blackmail target got put up on trial during the defense phase, whatever they type, the only thing that'll come out is the single phrase, "I am blackmailed," and they can only say it once. And that's it. And if your target is blackmailed, they can't whisper, but they can still be whispered to. Blackmail Mayor can also review the next day. So that's the night ability, and there's also a passive ability. You can see people's whispers. This is very important because a lot of towns share their roles and wills in their whispers. So you can use that to gather a lot of information. So what should you do? Communicate to your fellow Mafia teammates about what was in the whispers. So if you see someone claim lookout in whispers, and they posted their will, then now you know who the town protectives are, and you can go ahead and attack them. Or you can tell Mafia about the claims of people in whispers to Jailer. So some possible claims would be invest, spy. This is because the spy is basically self-explanatory. It's in your investigative results, and you can claim it just because basically any Mafia can claim spy. An investigator is, you can see the people that's whispering. So maybe you can take the first person that whispered to the Jailer, which is in most cases would be a town investigative role, like lookouts or maybe sheriffs or invests, and you can put them down. Just memorize the investigator's results and just put them down. So you see a lookout whispering their will to the Jailer, he can start putting down, say him or her is invest Consigliere, and post that will fast so town believes you. And if spy sees that they weren't visited, then they know that you aren't a Consigliere, and therefore you gain a lot of trust. And a risky claim would just be to blackmail Jailer and claim town protective. If there's a lookout, they see a bunch of people visiting the Jailer. However, the Jailer would know one of them is the blackmailer, but they don't know who. So just like the one I covered with Framer earlier, you're potentially down to one Mafia in 3 or 4 towns, and town doesn't really want to dare lynching one. And yeah, even if they do, the chance of them getting you is very low. So that's definitely something you can do. But I would normally go with the investigator claim. So the second Mafia support is the Consigliere. So it's basically a corrupted investigator that gathers information for the Mafia. So you basically check someone for their role, and that's pretty much it. I think this role is, I would, in my opinion, the Consigliere would be like the worst random off, in my opinion. Mostly due to the fact that its abilities is not as useful as the other random Mafia. Like, the Blackmailer ability isn't all that useful, but its passive abilities to see whispers is very, very strong. And roles like Forger and Janitor is very strong, and Consort can definitely do a lot, which includes basically role blocking Jailer and stopping the Jailer from executing Mafia. But the Consigliere has an ability that, in my opinion, isn't as strong. Like I said, with the framer. If you're going around to check someone different every day and there's a spy, they see all that. And these people are like just eliminated from being Mafia, with the exception of being a disguiser. But once town realized that a disguiser doesn't exist, then all of these people that was visited by Mafia would be deemed town. So that's not very good. And in ranked, most people actually just claim their role day 2. Like half of the town claim day 2. And the other half probably isn't targets that you want to focus on anyways. So by really going around to check people, it's not all that useful. And it frees up, eliminates a lot of Mafia claim space and squeezes the ring for Mafia. So honestly, I really don't recommend Consigliere going out to visit and checking someone different. I would just stick to visiting the jailer every night or the TPLO claim and pretending you're actually a town protective. I feel like that's the better play here. This is just my opinion. And be mindful when checking on roles and tell Mafia about the results of the people you check if you do decide to visit and if there's no spy. So possible claims are bodyguard or doctor. Yeah, so bodyguard or a doctor would be the claim that I would usually go for. It's the most common. Or a spy if you go on the jailer and bug them. And like I said, it's not suggested, but you could potentially claim investigator. But this would be best if there's a disguiser to disguise your visits. So the disguiser can disguise you as someone else. And then you can safely visit without the spy seeing your moth visit. This way, town wouldn't necessarily think you're a consig. But however, if the disguiser disguises you every night, then they would think something is up because you're visited by Mafia every night. They might put 2 and 2 together and think you were disguised Consigliere. And the last role that I'm going to cover would be the Consort. So the Consort is basically a Mafia version of the Escort. They roadblock someone each night, and the said person can't perform their night abilities. So there are some roles that are immune to this roadblock. These roles are Transporter, Veteran, Escort, Retributionist, and Witch in the non-Coven expansion. So you can't roadblock a Transporter, you can't roadblock a Veteran, and if the Veteran goes on alert, they will kill you. And you can't roadblock an Escort, you can't roadblock a Retributionist, and you can't roadblock a Witch. So yeah, and this role, let's go into some of the things you should do. Be mindful when roadblock when there's a spy present, same was with the others. And roadblock jailer when a fellow Mafia is jailed. So you can claim Escort. Something that I like to do is just not roadblock night 1 and see if there's a spy. See if there's a spy around and if worst comes to worst, there is a spy. If you still want to claim Escort, you can ask one of your fellow Mafia to claim roadblocked. And then from night 2 on, you just maybe kill the spy and start roadblocking. That could be something that you do. And if there's a disguiser, the disguiser can disguise you as someone else, and you go out, maybe roadblock the jailer night 1 to confirm yourself, and then attack any spies before you're outed from being visited by Mafia too many times. You can also claim spy. Same with framer and blackmailer. You can just go on jailer and claim spy. Okay, even if the jailer knows they were roadblocked, you don't have to say it was you. You can claim spy. And pretty much anything you want. Consort is one of these roles that can claim pretty much anything. And just keep in mind when a fellow Mafia is jailed, and they're likely to be executed, it's always good to roadblock the jailer, because you never know what might happen. A Vigilant might shoot randomly and kill themselves in a fellow town. A Vigilant and a Bodyguard might kill each other because the Witch has witched them out of the jailer or something. You never know. Not letting the Mafia being executed at night basically saves a night for the Mafia. And if town really wants that Mafia dead, they'd have to wait until daytime to lynch them, which wastes a day of lynching. So that's always good for Mafia. And yeah. So now that we've talked about every single one of those roles separately, I like to look at the overall strategy or like collaboration between the roles. So things to keep in mind when you're a Mafia: you have teammates that you can talk to nightly. Use this to your advantage. I've said this multiple times, and during the video I've talked about how certain claim works based on others, asking your fellow Mafia to claim roadblock, asking them to claim transported, so on. So you have to talk to them nightly and discuss strategies, claims, what you want other people to do, what you saw, your information, and just the more information there are, the better. Because this is an information-based game. town uses information to lynch the Mafia. Mafia uses information to kill town and trick town. So the more information you have, or the more information your alignment has, the better it is. If town gets all the information, you guys lose. However, if you get information on who the town is, what they claim, what their will is, what they did every night, then you can use this to coordinate your kills, your claims, your mislynches, and everything. So more information would always be better. And you can coordinate your claims to have multi-layered claims. So on this, I'll just discuss and point out some of the possible things you can do. So if you have a hypnotist, you can hypnotize someone night 1. So you hypnotize a random person night 1, make them seem they were transported. Have one of your fellow Mafia claim transported. In night 2, have the other 2 Mafia claim transported. While you, say, roadblock someone random, and then now one of your other Mafia can claim escort. While night 1, maybe you can claim roadblock, since transporter is immune to roadblock. You can claim roadblock night 1, and still claim transporter, and actually go out showing that false roadblock message to a town, and have your Mafia claim roadblocked. So now you have a transporter and an escort claim going. It reduces the space for a lot of town support, and maybe you can get a mislynch of a medium or a retributionist, and so on. So, and maybe as a consort, as I pointed out, you can ask your fellow Mafia to claim roadblock, and maybe the doctor claim with the hypnotist. And even if you don't have a hypnotist, you can still ask 2 of your fellow Mafia to claim transported. Like, that's totally fine. And like I said, if you have a forger, you can forge the will to make them seem they were transported. These are also multi-layer claims. And something that I did many times is, if there's no medium, you can have 2 Mafia claim medium and then confirm each other. And just pretend that you both are confirming each other. And also, what you can do is, as medium, if you're faking a medium claim, always paste that chat. So what it does is, when with the new update that's been around for, I think, quite a long time, so probably not even new update, you can copy and paste other people's chat. So you can pretend to have copy and pasted some dead chat. Like, for example, you can just write, say there was someone named Apple and then someone named Tree. You can just go Apple and then a colon, 9 is med, and then Tree, colon, 9 only med. Or, for example, if you want to have Bear and then colon, 9 and 13 both med. So you can just like make those simple copy-paste messages that would work fairly well. People tend to believe the mediums that paste a dead chat. So you can just make up something, use your imagination, think in the dead's shoes, what would the dead say if you were actually medium? What would you say if you're dead and you see a medium go high? And this way, if you have a dead chat, just put them in your will, and when town asks you to post, you post your will, you just post those dead chat, and town can be like, wow, they have dead chat. They must be real medium. But something to keep in mind is, if you're doing the strategy where 2 Mafia both claim medium, make sure to coordinate what you're saying in the Mafia chat. So basically, Mafia, make sure you and the person that you're claiming medium with is pasting the exact same chat as you. And always make sure not to spell the names of the people incorrectly. Because if you spell their name incorrectly, then they will know you're fake and it wasn't a copy paste. You can, perhaps, it doesn't matter too much if you spell the message incorrectly, since the dead can also do that. But if you spell the name correctly or forgot a colon, instead like you did a semicolon or whatever, that could be really bad. And keep in mind of majority and equilibrium. So equilibrium is when there's an equal amount of town and Mafia/neutrals. In this case, you should not vote, because Mafia has a killing ability at night. You should just not vote and attack at night. There's always Witch to keep the jailer occupied, so the jailer can't kill one of your Mafia. And in equilibriums, say if it's a 6v6. There's 6 town, there's all 4 Mafia, a Witch, and an Executioner. You cannot vote, attack a town, and talk to the Executioner. Okay, we will vote your target tomorrow. And the Executioner would want that, and after putting up their target, the evils basically have majority. And majority is basically just when the amount of evils is greater than the amount of town. In those cases, you should just stand up, basically drop all acts, and vote up the jailer or any important town. But make sure there isn't a mayor. Because if there's a mayor, then you lose majorities or equilibrium. and you could easily get voted up. However, you can just attack the mayor and regain majority/equilibrium. So thank you for watching. This is all for today. If there's anything I missed in this tutorial, please feel free to comment any strategies that I missed, any of your opinions of what roles you like to play and whatever you like to do. So, but this is the end of the video, and thank you guys for watching. And also thank you all for 1K. This is amazing. Thank you all for supporting me and my channel, and I've reached 1K recently, so I'm really thankful for all of you subscribers out there, and thank you for all your positive feedback in the comment section. And new content and potential giveaway coming soon. So in the near future, I'm thinking of doing a giveaway that I'll announce maybe in the next couple of my videos that will be around my 1K. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.